What did I forget this time? I don't know. Now that I can run that thing that does some of this stuff, you know, it does some of the stuff. So that's good. Hi, it's me. It's me, Scott. What's going on back here? I guess I need some pigtails. Is it pigtail time? Some little piggies? I don't know. I don't know about that. Hello there. It's me, Scott, still. I was just going over my Twitch achievement board here. Very exciting. I completed build a community. I think a lot of these things I had from a million years ago, unless they like changed some of the rules. I don't know. Unclear. It's unclear. I think it's a little bright for the morning time. I need some buttons that just like auto set various gains, because with this morning light out the window, I have to change my gain a lot. So what have we been doing? We've been recording silly songs or covers of songs, and it's been pretty fun. But I think I want to switch today back to like something that is borderline real work and borderline just a thing. So that we did that point cloud viewer thing, I think earlier in the week, and it was kind of fun. And I want to do some stuff to do it, and then I think David's going to use it for Cosmic Sugar, so we got to do some like actual features to it. But I just want to mess with it for a while. I kind of want to look. Okay, we'll do two things. Thing number one. Why do we have a shark here? Don't know. Where's our little wallpaper thing? Still need to actually make this a button. It's not very useful to set up all this automation stuff if we don't have a way to run the automation stuff. Sometimes you just don't run. Or did it pick the same image twice? I guess that's what happened in that case. It picked the same image twice. That was a new image. They're just a little slow to download. So let's put a few more messages in here, just so we know what's going on when. Because what do? We like... So that's our random photo, right? And then... Oh, whoops. This is just like how we get the download URL, because we got to do that tracking thing. Rural. And then it's like starting download. And setting wallpaper. Seeding. It's the download that's just kind of slow. But it's just so unclear to me, like the track download thing, or what do we... So photo.links.download location. But is this really the thing we want? Like that was 8 megabytes. Why do we have an 8 megabyte JPEG? Do we have identify on here? Probably not. Of course not. Why would we have something useful? Why? Maybe we can install it. Like, what's the resolution of this photo? Something absurd? Something outrageous? Yes, it is huge. So we really don't need that. So I imagine we could dramatically speed this thing up. Not by doing that, but by finding a way to not download photos of that resolution. Profile image. So like, what did we did? We did links, download, location. But I don't want that. Like regular size 1080. I feel like I just want regular. Maybe if we do that, we don't have to do the download thing. URLs.regular. Do you think I'm in trouble if I... Because that's not even like an API call. Maybe you're supposed to, but I don't need it that big. URLs.regular. So what if we just tried that? Photo.urls.regular. Oops. So much faster. So much faster. Maybe we're not supposed to do that with the API, but I don't want to download the huge image. I don't want it. It's too huge. So we got these people. Everybody's kind of looking at the camera in an uncomfortable way. Oh, it's so much faster. Oh, but well, except now they're really JPEG-y. They're like super... What a crisis. Now they're like pretty compressed. Like very JPEG artifacty. So... Ugh. Maybe full is not what we want to do? I want something between an 8 meg JPEG that is 600K and this badly compressed, like this over compressed thing. Unless that track download like lets you ask for something that's not huge. So we have full. Oh, you see that Q in there? That's probably quality. That's probably quality 80. So do you think maybe there's a way with the track download thing where we can ask for not the hugest version, and that's really what we're supposed to do? Maybe. What was it called? Unsplash.js, this thing. The track download only takes it down location. So this is annoying because I don't want quality. We can't specify the quality. How are you supposed to do this? Documentation. Track a photo download. To abide by the application. Like, I don't want it to be this huge. This seems kind of dumb. Like, get a photo, and then it's going to have these URLs. These have quality 75, so it's even worse. This is a dumb API. I mean, unless I can just artificially do it. Like if I get raw and then I say, I add my own query string to it. So that's quality 75. What if we did quality 95? It did it. It let me do it. So I think I'm just going to try the raw and add my own query string. If this is how they're going to... Right? What if I did that? I seem to like that didn't work. What happened? How do we like that? Still kind of JPEG-y. I mean, these are dramatically smaller now. They're still a bit JPEG-y. I'm curious. So say we got this image, for example, as an example. I'll look at my Twitch achievements. I want to look at those in a second. Okay. So did we screw up here? Oh, it already has a query string. Oh. Okay. So were we screwing up with this? I thought from that other... Oh, we need the... Okay, wait. Let's try this again. I think I see the problem. There's already a query string. We just have to decide... We're just going to append to it, right? Here's raw, and it already has a query string. So we are just going to take that query string, and at the end, do a queue. Yeah, okay. So I set the URL wrong. It's not this. It's just this. I guess. It seems different than what was on the website example, but we'll try it. Okay, seems not bad. I'm a little curious about this. Let's try this. Let's try this. So it's funny. I see. So it's even. I thought didn't I ask for landscape only? I thought part of our filter was. Oh, apparently not. I thought we added all that stuff to like this doesn't even seem like it has any parameters. Were we not doing that? I'm confused. Yeah, like we should have all this stuff in there. Count and query and... Get random, is that what we're using? Get photos. Okay, you get photos takes those things. Get likes. Unsplash collections get photos. Topics get photos. Okay, there was a topics. Receive a topics photos. Well, now I'm very confused. Do we not do this correctly? So, like, where's the content filter thing? Content filter. That's a search.get photos. Does get random? Get random does take these things, but we weren't specifying any. Seems unusual. But you can't specify a topic in here. You can do topics and get all the photos from a topic. So what do we actually want? We really just want query, orientation, content filter, count. Thought we did this. Apparently not. Why do you think orientation is marked out? I feel like I'm losing my mind. I really thought we did this. Content filter, I. Am I nuts? And the count is just one. Okay, I don't really care about these comments. Okay, now try this. We mess up our query. Query is wallpaper, orientation landscape, content filter high. Did we mess up? What did we mess up? I'm 40. So we got a photo here. See raw. We added the thing to raw. Did photo come back as an array? So when we didn't do an array, we get a single photo? We don't specify count? Okay. So let's try this. Open this. It is a landscape photo of a cool car. It's pretty confused here by... So if we didn't add anything, this is what we would get. Huge photo. It's returning. Why are you returning 734 when I have asked for 1080? So like if we go back up here, that's the user photo. We said that's the full. This is the regular with 1080. But that's not. Oh, because we want width 1920. That's the width. would be height 1080. Okay, that makes more sense. And just to see if this quality setting is working, we can set it real low, maybe. Actually, maybe it just has a minimum. You see lots of JPEGiness there. I mean, we might not really get 95 when we ask for 95, you know? Okay. So that makes a little bit of sense that this would actually be. Seemed pretty slow. $500K, it's not the worst. Maybe it's because we're asking for a format that is not their normal thing, so it actually has to generate it. That wouldn't surprise me horribly, I guess, if we are really abusing their API here, but I don't feel that bad. Because they should just let me specify these things. They're clearly URL parameters that let you specify that stuff, so why can't I specify them? Also, I'm just one person using this. Okay, let's go with this wallpaper. Looks great. This camera, on the other hand, looks kind of blown out. Okay, what is the thing we're doing today? We are going to look at high score. High score. So I think I did a little work since last we looked at this thing. I think I cleaned things up. I added color back and a texture back and some of that stuff. And then also did this thing to try to figure out the center, so it always center the OBJ. So the next thing I wanted to do is maybe normalize the size, because that's something I was noticing. You also want to switch the shader out, probably. So, and actually, an old shader from an old project. Where is it? It's here. Don't need the vertex colors. Where are you, shader? That's just the color. Let's try the size. So this is what, I mean, I think that's what I was doing here. Okay. So there's this other. Guess I did this at one point. Maybe David did this. This HSV to RGB. And so we just wanted the color to be a very fancy thing. What is the time equal to in this project? Time now divided by 1,000. Is that what I'm doing in here? Time. Yes, okay, that's all right. So we just want to do this instead, except not with a dumb variable name. Clearly David did that. I would never have such a dumb variable name. That's not even right. That's not even the right thing anyway. It's the frag shader. View color. Okay. That's just a different color strategy. Is it actually animating though? Should be. This is very slow. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. And then the scale over here is this geo position and this geo point size. That's just bigger, I guess. And I don't know. That still doesn't feel great. Wow. Because you kind of want to get bigger when you get. My logic is just not right on that. Cluster. It was a 10-year-old project, so probably gross. How do we figure out the size? Is scale? That's not a spatial size though. We don't need a spatial size. What if we didn't? Probably not good. Like I want it to be a distance from the camera, actually. I want it like distance from the camera to determine the size, I think. Is this in camera space? I don't know. So that's gonna look insane. It's very unhappy with me. So I want to draw a million particles right on top of each other. 1 frame per second. Very good. Okay. I feel like it's backwards, you know? We really would need to know some range, right? But I don't know what the geo positions. To invert it. I don't think this is right. We really had to sit and think about it. I don't know. We gotta actually think about it. Maybe I need the camera position and do a distance from the camera and whatever. Just so that it's big. Draclin, hello there. Like, what's the right way to do that? Just a distance from the camera. So, I'm sure there's probably a way to do that after applying these matrices, but I feel like it would be easier for me. Let's see. That may be a thing I have to pass in. I don't remember. Do I get this for free? Is this like already a thing that I know? I guess it is. Built-ins. Okay. So if I have... like some kind of inverse distance thing, and then at the edge of it, I am adding some more features to this because David's actually going to use it for the Cosmic Sugar Viewer. So this is going to be like the web Cosmic Sugar Viewer, and it's pretty good. I just need to add a few features to it, but I think it's not bad. So we need, you know, some kind of like a Z distance from the camera, or do we really want to get a distance? Distance is more expensive. Because there's a squirt in there, right? Isn't there a distance squared or something? I think we want to try to avoid the squirt if we can. Yeah, if we just do this distance squared. Please don't squirt the sugar. Never do it. No, this is just a random million particles. So this is not a Cosmic Sugar export. A Cosmic Sugar export, do we have one? I think we have one right here. So this is a Cosmic Sugar export. The center is still not what I would exactly expect it to be. Maybe my centroid calculation is not good. Like literal Cosmic Sugar, you mean? An actual literal cube. How's your flight? How's your flight going? Okay, so what I would want, let's just try it with distance. The distance between position and, what was it called? Camera position? Camera position. And then we just want to set the size. Let's start with this. And I think this is going to be backwards. I mean, it's obviously going to be backward. Distance to camera. Let's divide it by 1,000 because I think it's going to be in meters, and we'll go to millimeters. That's probably too small. Also, I may have that backwards. Or there may be a bug. Yes, because this needs to be a float. Okay. So this gets bigger as you go away and smaller as you get closer. So we actually want the inverse of that. Will that do what I want? In a range of 10 meters? Why doesn't that do what I want? It could be that these scales are way huger, though, right? We probably need to do this as like a lerp. I just don't actually know what the range is. Because we've scaled stuff up and down so much that I just don't... Oh, shoot. Okay, all this is wrong because these actually need to be floats. You can fly. Maybe we should fly in Cosmic Sugar Land. See, there's that weird flip there. Whoop. There's just some problem. This should be right, right? That's the position before we do anything? Or we want the world position, probably. See, like it reaches its minimum and then gets maxed out again. So these really should get bigger as they get closer, but it seems like they kind of do. Like they hit a point of bigness. So what would the actual mass for this be? It would be something like what? Something like... This is why it would be helpful to normalize all this stuff first. Like set everything to the range of a meter first. Then it would just be easier to calculate this because we'd always be in a space that made more sense. So I think we're going to try that first. So we'll leave it backwards for now. I'm sure there's a way to do this. Of course there is, but we have so many things that are scaling up and our scale's weird and all this stuff where if everything just operated as a meter, I think it would be easier to just think about with my brain. You know, my brain. Have you looked at Cosmic Sugar? Cosmic Sugar. It's pretty cool. It does lots of stuff based on forces. So he like has forces on. It's in VR, and you use wands or the Rift controller. I feel like we looked at this on stream some time ago. But there's millions of particles or a million particles, and then you're generating forces with your wands. Oh, the viewer thing? Maybe. I mean, I want it to be pretty, would mostly just be a viewer. I guess I could have some like interpolation animation kind of thing. But these are the kinds of things we'd actually be viewing. Oh, I see. Like you zoom in forever, some infinite horse. We'll focus on viewing to start with, I think. What have I done wrong here? Wait. Huh? That's your problem? That was your problem. So maybe that actually was working before and I just screwed up because I was using... It'd be easier for me to conceptualize this as a lerp. Like the distance to camera would let you, and you'd lerp and like pick a size. Because then we could saturate it. Well, like clamp 01. Is that a thing in GLSL? I can't remember. Maybe it's time to see an infinite horse. Maybe it's time to do mushrooms again. Is really maybe what it's time for. They're so traumatizing, but it might be time. Okay, so what we want to figure out, let's just do this step at a time. I think the first thing I want to do is normalize, and that's a little bit tricky because we're already doing a thing where we find the average point. Is that not really the same as the centroid? It's really not. Like if we wanted to calculate the centroid, we would have to calculate the bounds. And just always look for a lower X, Y, or Z. Is that really how that works though? Because it would be something like this. So we'd start with the min of infinity. This might be totally wrong. Yes, that very thing. You can also saturate. I mean, there's a built-in, so you don't have to do two. So there's not two function calls. I just forgot what it is in GLSL. GLSL clamp, or it might just be saturate. I don't know if it has a clamp 0, 1. I think it actually just has saturate. Saturate. Or maybe not. I thought it did. Okay, it's in, that's HLSL. GLSL is essentially a clamp with this range. So this is, it's the same thing. You just get away with one call instead of two, which would normally be a trivial thing. But when you're, when you're trying to process a million particles, you have to be really careful what you do in your shader, because you're going to do it a million times. I really thought saturate was, I guess I'm thinking of HLSL. But I'm wrong. Dead wrong. Okay, so what are we doing? So we want to, I think this is what we want. Because I think we actually want the centroid and not the average. And we want to orbit around wherever the centroid is. Do we want the centroid or the average? I think 3D programs would usually use the center. So we need to do a thing here now where we have like, a bounds check. And this is going to be a little annoying. So if the point x is less than min.x, then min.x equals point.x. Am I doing this right? Or am I doing this backwards? If whatever the new value is less than our current minimum, then that's the new minimum. I think that's what we want. And then we just do the same thing with these. Oops. And make these maxes. That's not how you do that. Oh, I'm still getting the hang of this. CMAX. Okay. I don't want you to put it on 2 lines. I think it was actually much more clear when it was on 1 line editor, but okay. So we're basically saying if it's less than the min, then the min is now equal to that thing, right? And if it's greater than the max, yeah, that all seems fine. Right? Right. And then now we want to say, let the centroid be equal to 3.vector3 new. I shouldn't allocate every time. And it's going to be max x minus min x divided by 2. Right? And this is a faster calculation than why would you think that goes on 1 line? So you want to wrap my if statements. I don't like you. Don't do that. Are you serious? Is that because I installed we installed something to format something else, and I think it's annoying me. That's the CSS formatter. It might be this jerk. I think this, I don't know why I wanted this. I wanted it for something we were doing, and I don't know what it was. But I think it can go away. If that's the thing that's cramping my style. No, it might just be the regular. I feel like I don't normally have that problem. Maybe it's because we're in an HTML file and not a JavaScript file. It's deciding to format things a little differently. I don't know. Okay, so now instead of using the average, let's try using the centroid. I feel like I did that really... I feel like there's an error there. Seems really wrong. Let's go through our logic. So we start by saying the minimum is infinity and the maximum is negative infinity. So anything that comes in should get overridden. And then we always want to say if the point x is less than whatever the minimum is, that's the new minimum. Point y, new minimum. Point z, new minimum. Similarly, if the point x max... Wait, that's supposed to be... I was wrong. I'm supposed to average these. These are added. These aren't divides, right? Or subtracts. I thought I was finding the range between them and then doing half of the range, but that's not right. This is just averaging these. Oops. It's flawed. Flawed thinking. Okay. Still seems bad. Why would that be? We have x, max x, min x, max x, min x, max x, min x. We're adding them together and we're dividing them. That sort of feels like that should give us the centroid. This is just one of those things that's so simple, but it's just easy to feel like I'm doing something wrong. So these are all floats. And we want to set these individually, right? Because we're not saying, we just want to know not necessarily a point, we want to know its components. So I think that logic seems right. If we're greater than the max, then max is now equal to. And then the centroid is equal to, this is after all our looping. What's wrong with my logic here? And then we just go through and we subtract the centroid, which should offset it. That looks right. It just doesn't feel right, you know? Where's the sum? Are we still using the sum somewhere? Oh, now it's perfect. Okay, I must have had some slight error in there. Maybe it was that extra comma at the end of this was actually screwing this up and making it a vec4 or something weird, or I don't know. Okay, that looks a lot better. So now we have a good centroid. So that's great. Now we also want to figure out what the maximum magnitude is. Well, but we want the maximum magnitude. We don't know that until we know the center. So is there any way to figure this out without another loop? I think we need another loop because I think we have to loop through once to figure out what the center is and then offset it based on the center, because we want a magnitude from whatever the center is, so we can scale it to whatever, so that it so that it maxes out at whatever its size is. Which I'm a little worried about that, because there's some possibility that, like, if there's some stray point like way out, that could be a problem. I guess in Cosmic Sugar, we could just build it in that nothing with a magnitude beyond a certain length is allowed. But again, you don't know the centroid. So I guess we could clamp it in here. Yes, David. I'm guessing he's going to say yes, and then we'll just need another solution for that. I guess we could find like the average radius. We can average all the points, but again, we want it relative to the center. So whatever we do, we have to yeah, that's a little tricky. We basically want to give it an average. Well, if we have the average, okay. So if we have, let's think about this. This might be math. So let's say that our average starts with 0, and then we're going to add to our average. And then we're going to, this will be easier to calculate anyway. Okay, so we have an average and we have a centroid. I think there's a subtract scalar. I don't know. That's not the shortcut I meant. I can't remember if there's a subtract scalar. Subscalar subtracts s from all three. So that's a subscalar. But that's not what we want. We want to just actually subtract. Not here. The call on whatever day that was, 2 days ago? No, I didn't. It's not job. It's an 8-week contract job. I'm going to do 3 to 4 days a week. They accepted my rate offer, which probably means I should have asked for more money. Should always ask for more money. I know, Draclin. I know you're disappointed in me, and I should have asked for more money. So, divide scalar. Does this actually return the thing, though? Divides this vector. Does it actually return a thing, or does it divide this vector? Sometimes it's so hard to know if, with stuff like this, is it going to return a value? Like these other cases, it says return. subtract S from this vector. It doesn't say anything about returning anything, so I assume that it's not returning, that it's like actually doing the thing. Smart. I mainly save money. I mean, I waste it on things like student loans, but those are all paid off. But now I have to waste it on healthcare. I was really thinking, like, my baseline healthcare in this country is like $11,000 to $13,000 or something like that every year. So in 10 years, I will have wasted like $130,000. Or I could just move to a country, like move to a civilized country and have good healthcare. It's just, it's hard. Hard to know what to do. I think what I've decided to do is wait and see what happens with midterms. And if the party that hates healthcare takes over, then I should probably leave this country. Maybe. No, it's definitely not trivial. It's definitely not trivial at all. And you wouldn't want to move to Canada because Canada has this problem. Like Canada, if you wanted to buy a house somewhere, Canada is probably the worst place on the planet at the moment, which is kind of crazy. But like housing prices in Canada relative to the rest of the world is insane right now. So you definitely wouldn't want to do that, unfortunately. I've looked into like, there's funny things. What do they call them? Like Portugal golden ticket visa, whatever it's called, or golden visa, where you can basically like buy your way into living in Portugal. Or like say you're going to start a company that provides X number of jobs or something like that. But once you do it, you're in the EU. Like it's. But of course, it's for rich people. So you can come in and invest. Like you can come in and invest, but it has to be like $250,000. But they basically just let you buy citizenship. I've considered Germany. Germany's a little bit obvious in some reasons. Like for some reasons, I have my family a few generations back is from Germany. I speak a little bit of German. My brother was stationed there for a long time, but he's not anymore. I just don't really want to live in Germany. Probably be like a smartish place to live. I like Berlin. And then when you live in Berlin, every young person speaks English better than I do anyway. And with no accent, which always blows my mind. I thought there was one about starting a company. Oh, there's a real estate option. Yeah, anyway, this is for rich people. So rich people can just buy citizenship because rich people can do whatever they want. I've definitely thought, like, Portugal appeals to me in some ways. Scandinavia appeals to me in some ways. Portugal sounds nicer weather-wise. Portugal also, just do all the drugs you want. Free drugs. Although I guess drugs are basically decriminalized here now too, so. In Oregon, I mean. Okay, so if I have this and I subtract the centroid, this should now be my average. Okay, let me think about how to do this thing that I want to do, because I think it's not a bad idea. Okay, so I've gotten the centroid of this volume, right? But I also know the average of this volume. And if I subtract the centroid from the average, I should have like an average, and then get the magnitude of that. I should have an average magnitude. Like an average distance from the center. And then if I wanted to turn that distance from the center, like normalize that essentially, I would divide to turn, I want to turn that into 1, basically. So divide by the thing that you multiply, divide by that number. Is that how math works? If I have like, say this is 0.63. 1 divided by 0.63. Actually, 1 divided by 0.63. 1.5. So then I would multiply everything times 1.5, and that would make my average. Is this right? I don't know. So if I got the can you get that magnitude? Wait, why can you not get the vector of this? Oh, I guess it's length. The Manhattan length, the old Manhattan length. Okay. Does that return a scalar? I like, you would think that would return a scalar, right? But it doesn't say that it returns a scalar. So does that mean the documentation's just bad? It's got to return it, right? Because that's the Manhattan length vector. I don't know what that is. Zigzaggy? Like, it's just a... Oh, my computer got delivered. Whoa, I should go get it. Maybe we'll switch to that. I don't like this. Documentation is making me feel uncertain. That's saying the average length is 0.03. Like a third of a meter. So that's a little ball. So then I'm saying that if I multiply, instead of multiplying by 1 times the radius, or times radius, I do this 1.0 divided by average magnitude. I get this. Definitely one of those things that just feels like I'm doing something wrong. So that could be fine. And then maybe my zoom just needs to change. Like we don't zoom out so far. Like our camera position. Where do we make the camera? That's our controls. Our controls seemingly don't have a max distance. So we can just zoom out forever, I guess. Okay. So we just want like our initial camera distance to be... This doesn't feel right though. Because if we said like, for example, that the camera started at 1 meter, something's wrong. Or are we in meters here? What was it before? It was 100? What do I break? Is it just the radius of our cube is way too big now? We're just too close to it or something? So we wanted a 1 meter cube. If we're saying that all our units are in meters, so this is a 1 meter cube, and then we are 15 meters away. Leave it in there for now. So that's a 1 meter cube. When we drop this in, it seems much bigger than a meter. Is that because it's the average, and so that makes it much bigger, or? Because I thought my math would have said, make the average of this thing 1 meter. So we get the centroid. And then for each point, we're going to do 1 over that. To make it so that they average 1 meter. So that just seems wrong, because since these are basically all arranged on a sphere, 1 meter from the center, unless that's actually making it twice, you know, that's like saying essentially that the radius is. I'm not sure about this. Still doesn't really seem right. I think there's some issues, but we'll see once we have more examples. Well, for example, so we have some of those other, they're in their cycle bin. Let's get some others of our dudes. Like Confucius? Where's our buddy? Okay, Confucius. The orientation's crazy. Maybe because we should reset it. Okay, that's Confucius. So that's kind of cool, right? Like, if we know it's a meter, and that should help us normalize the size a little bit, just because now everything's in meters. Our scale is still weird, so that felt good. And then Milo. Did not seem very happy. Well, she's a weird one because she's like, yeah, because we got the average, not like the max. So maybe that actually is right for her average. It's kind of hard to say. She's very sparse, so her sizes are challenging. Where's that room that we did? Room. It's centered. Doesn't seem very correct, does it? It's pretty weird, because this is basically a square, so you would think that the centroid would be the centroid. But it doesn't really seem like it is. But in this case, did I break it? Maybe it's something about the way the zoom works? I don't think so. That's pretty dang centered. Where's the Atari, the best one? Okay, so now we want to say, now that we know they're operating in meters, this is good. Because now we can take that distance and know that it's between, you know, distance to camera divided by 10. And then we can give it a size. So we can say that this is a lerp between whatever, 3 and 10. Oh, this might be totally the wrong numbers. In fact, it's probably more like 0.1, 0.01, and 0.1. And it's distance to camera divided by 10, 10, divided by 10, 0.0. And then we want to clamp 0, 1 this. Something like that. Jacqueline, welcome back. Okay, so David says there are no super strays. Okay. What have we broken? How dare I have integers? What's your problem? Oh, it's probably mix on this. Is that right? So do I want the inverse of this? Doesn't seem right, does it? I mean, maybe it needs to be truly way bigger. Okay. There's something wrong, obviously. So what are we doing? We're saying the world position, the distance. So do we want actually camera to world position, first of all? I don't know if it actually matters. But it's weird. It like flips and then goes around again. Almost like there's a 0 point, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you would think the distance from the camera, unless that's like not the world position of the camera or something. What if we just did position here? I don't think that's right though. And the fact that we clamp it is really weird because you would think it would just be it's 0 to 10 unless it flips around. But it shouldn't. It's not like we're doing the absolute value. Right? There's just something wrong with my thinking. So that's obviously way too big. Like even 1 is just too big. Actually, I should double check and make sure that. Why would that change at all, actually? If this is just 1, because I didn't think size was a function of distance in this case. It's not. It's just that there's density and they get additive. So we want it to get bigger when it gets closer, right? So when it's less, So I have these backwards. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this? So what's the deal? That's the distance to camera. Is it not? What's wrong with me? I don't think they're actually getting bigger back there. I think they are just... That's the world position. Is this not right? I mean, that's got to be the world position of the camera, right? What else would it be? What am I doing wrong? I'm just having one of those days where I feel like I'm not really doing anything right, you know? I feel like all this stuff we've been working on. Let's see. We found that list that said, what can you do in your shader? The camera position in world space. And then we're doing this multiply by the model matrix, which should be which should put our points into world space. And then we're trying to get a distance from the camera's position to the world position. Out of 10. Out of 10 meters. Is 10 meters just like the wrong number or something? How far away are we starting? Shouldn't really matter. But this should say that, like, as this approaches 1, you know, as distance to camera... Yeah, that feels weird. Because as distance to camera, that means that this end should be far away. So when they're far away, we want to be here. And when they're close, distance to camera, like if this is... zero, essentially. Am I using mix wrong? Let's see. GLSL lerp. Is that not right? I'm a Susu's blend or whatever. Maybe mix is the wrong function. That's just mix. It's linear interpolation. So the thing that makes no sense to me, I just am thinking of stuff wrong, I guess. Like, you'd think this would be a smaller number. Right? I mean, do they need to be huge when they get close? Is that my problem? Like, as they get close, should they be giant? Maybe that's my problem. But then when they're far away, it's just tricky. Like, the trickiness is, I think there's an illusion that it makes it seem like they're getting bigger, but they're not. They're just getting additive. They're getting more additive as they go away. Where do we start a camera? I forgot. I think that's what is making this like break my brain a little bit. Where is our camera? There. This is only 10. What if we don't clamp this out of curiosity? You're gonna do insane things? It's just kind of a hard problem. Like you see it fade off as we get to, you know, kind of our 0 point. So maybe we want to say that like once you're, that you eventually hit 0. Can I do that? Does this have to be 0.0? What did I do wrong? I just lost my comma. Oh, you probably can't. Why? Why wouldn't I be able to hit 0? Like, that's pretty weird because it doesn't really seem like we're hitting 0, right? Okay, but now let's clamp this again. We need to move on because I need to do some other pieces of this. Oh my gosh. Seems like some autosave thing that will do that automatically. Like, I don't understand why these eventually just don't hit 0. Like, if I set GL point size, just straight up set it to 0, scam likely. Isn't that weird? That I still see it when the point size is 0? So we could set the make this a vec4 or set this, the alpha separately. I think this can be a vec4. Because that would be kind of an interesting thing. Instead of changing the size, change the brightness. So you could try vcolor.rgb or .a equals 0, and that should mean you're truly invisible, right? And this is then a vec4, and then this is just oops. Okay, so now this is just a weird thing about how this works in additive land is that even if it's 0, it so we get big, we get small. We probably get bigger than we want to be. And make this more like 20. So we'll get bigger as we get close, and then as we get small, we kind of fade away. Maybe that should be more like 50. I don't know. Like, the fall off is crazy. The fall off doesn't make very much sense. I guess it's because maybe we need 2 different fall offs. Like, you know, 0 to 20 does this. but this actually should be 1, so that will fall off differently. It just feels like it fades out really early, you know? We would need to set a range, probably, really. I don't know. It's kind of a problem. A very easy problem. Like, I kind of want these points, they're really close to me. I kind of want them to be huge. Like, almost can't even see this guy. Maybe it needs to not be... Yeah, so it probably needs to not be linear. Unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm gonna table that problem for a minute because there's a few other things I want to solve. Good grief. What is the right shortcut? So I'm gonna try something like this. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. Does my drag and drop still work in here? Well, that's pretty fancy, huh? So, because the idea, and then we could do whatever. Stipe? Michael Stipe? Style. What's the frequency, Kenneth? Okay. High score is gonna be whatever. Border none. Margin auto with whatever. Why didn't my margin auto work? Probably reset the zoom when you drop in a new guy, maybe. We also have this problem, and this is like a 3.points control problem. It's not really our problem. But when we move out, it seems like it is. You can drag out and end up stuck. So it doesn't handle on pointer exit, it looks like, which is lame. I wish it did. There's got to be a way around that, though, because they have examples where you... But maybe that's fine for this. Anyway, so now we want to try to do a thing. Well, we kind of want to be able to... have a... How do we want to do this? We want to be able to... Actually, open that again. Why are there new lines? It's not good. Is it a million extra new lines? It's another problem to solve at another time. Okay, so we want to try to do a thing. Like, how do you... I don't know if I've ever done this before. If I have, it's been a really long time. How do you call a JavaScript function in an iframe? This will be the cool button. Cool is not an HTML type. Script, document.get element by ID. Cool. This will not remain. Add listener or click. Not the way you do it now, right? Don't people just do a click? Or is it on click? Can't remember. I don't recall. Like this. I just don't remember the non... I thought there was a way that was not... It's this. On click equals... I think. Document.get element by ID dot on click equals. Can I set property on click of null? Why are you null? Get the button's ID is cool. Ugh. Editor was. Hey. Oh, is it really just as simple as this? That's all it is. Okay. Cool. So now we want to try to do something like iScore window equal document.get element by ID iScore dot content window. Is that what they said? Now we lost it. We'll never find it ever again. Content window. Okay. So then we want to try to call a method on that. call that high score. Or we'd really want like a reference to high score in that or something. We made a high score object in here. This is called module. I don't know. It's kind of weird how we did that. We definitely did it in a weird way. So just for example, if we had you know, something like this. Is that a reasonable thing to do? What's wrong? In index HTML 268. Yeah, we don't need that. Does that actually let us call stuff in there? No. So did we get the content window? Seems like it. Do we need to do like a window to high score or something like that? Like inside our guy? I guess there could be a problem here. Like maybe we don't want to do this until, you know, we may not know about it yet. May not be loaded yet. No. High score is not defined. Window, that's the high score window dot high score. Do we need to do like window dot high score equals or something? How can we know that that will be available? I mean, they just have like a function reset up here. Like we get the window. I mean, let's just double check and let's try to just do all that on command. Which feels silly, but it just could be like things aren't loading or whatever. Where's your location? That seems like that works. So I'm probably just doing something silly. But what silly thing am I doing? I don't know. This window, like, is that not where that lives? Is it? I just can't remember. Content window target function. I mean, do we need to explicitly? This would be kind of dumb, but be very clear about this. Okay, that works. Whatever. So we just know that we have a window high score so we can talk to it, I guess. And if we use function there, it would work, but some reason functions become available there, but not variable. I don't know. Doesn't quite make sense to me. So then, like, how do we do that and then keep all this nonsense, this whole module land? I mean, can we just cram this in? Oops. It's all definitely pretty gross. Okay. So now the thing we want to be able to do is pass a URL to something like and just give it the URL to that, and then we'll just add all the logic to like grab something from a URL and do all the business, I guess, from whatever the root is. So what is it? Window. Oops. Oh, really weird. I don't know if that's exactly right. No, because we want it like it's got to be window dot host. Host name. We're doing great. Oh, it's window location dot protocol plus window dot location dot host name. Okay. Okay, we don't have the port. This is going great. Why do you get rid of my wrapping? I didn't feel like you used to do that. Maybe it is an HTML thing. I don't know. Okay, does this seem right? Okay, so that we'll maybe clean that up a little bit, but whatever. So now we need to do something that's like a way to get file from URL or something like that. I realize this is a giant mess and it's all over the place, but whatever. We can tidy that up. Not a problem. So let's just make sure we're still getting the thing. Wrapping is definitely annoying me. Who's logging this? We doing that in here? Something? Yes. Okie dokie. So we get this. So we're getting in here. So get file from URL. So now we are going to just fetch that. So maybe that works. I'm a little nervous about this now, though, because is that just a giant string? Print like the first 100 characters. Subster. So what does that actually return? Does this not return? I mean, there certainly could have been an error. There probably is an error here. Oh yeah, right. It's going to be a response. So it's response. This is the response body. This is going to make the browser mad. It's not going to want to log 1,000 lines. Okay, it's a readable stream. So body dot text. Is it not a function? What is it? Okay. So, where's Clyde? What is going on over there? You want some holiday ornaments? I don't know what you're doing. Do you want a birthday cake? What holiday is it? Earth Day was yesterday. So, okay, so we now can do this. We get all the data. Terrific. This isn't really what I want. So I want like let text equals response.text. We gotta await that. Can I do it this way? Response.body.text. Is that right? What was it before? Just response.text, not response.body.text. That's not a real thing. I'm having real typing problems today. I don't know why. Okay. We did it. We got the freaking thing. I don't know why those extra lines are there. That's bad news, but whatever. Okay, so once we get the text, so, 1 or whatever. We're going to process the OBJ text. So this is where we got to do the stuff. So what do we actually do in here? When we drop it, we get the thing, we do the unload, and then lines. Oh, okay, we already have a process OBJ. Cool. Well, we already wrote the thing, so that made that easier. We didn't really check to see if things were, if it was an OBJ or whatever, but I really can't hit F2 and refactor that. Maybe that's just not a thing that I can do because I'm in an HTML file. We are definitely not checking to see if this stuff looks like it's an OBJ. But that kind of works. It actually looks like a clipping plane thing. More than a... Or the transparency just happens too fast. I don't really know what's going on. Or the alpha just does not work the way that I think it should. Like, look, that just looks weird. Right? Looks pretty weird. Okay, but in principle this works, right? So where was that OBJ function? That's you. That's process OBJ. And then it does all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna stick this down below for now, I think. What is all this inside? It's all inside an init function. Why? That doesn't make very much sense. Right? Why is all that inside a init? Or maybe it's not. Kind of confused. That's all init. That is all actual initialization. Okay, we're not inside init at this point. We're just inside this script tag. Okay. I don't know why I want to do this today. I just like this better for some reason. I just don't like typing the word function, I guess. For some reason. Today. Okay. Like, really, this line's... Like, whatever. Let's just send that in here. No reason to do that twice. So where do we actually modify these positions? I don't think we touch them until way down here. My inside of a loop. Is that why? No. We don't touch them in this loop. We touch them in this loop. Okay. So that gets object from URL. We're just going to send this directly. And we're going to do the same thing here. Send this directly. We really want to say if this is not equal to obj, that we just return. Okay, so that's drag and drop. This is all roles, stats. Scene setup, shader setup. We're just going to set up the geometry and put some stuff in it. The particle system setup. Okay. Could be tidier, but it's a little better now. No one's ever going to call that. Doesn't need to be a function. We really need to render and animate separately. What gets called? We call render, we call animate first. Call animate. We don't really need a separate render function because there's so little going on. Okay, still a lot of code. It's still a little all over the place. Should probably stick this into JavaScript, into like some JS files. The only thing is it's always hard to do that with shaders. It always kind of sucks. Maybe there's a better way to do that. It used to not be very good. Like, have a shader in another file instead of doing it this way. There may be a better way now. Okay, I probably broke something with all that. Probably. Okay, that seems to work. With the load button, does it still work with drag and drop? Yes. Well, how about that, everybody? We still have the problem where we can click in here and like come out and still be dragging. So, but that's a pretty minor bug. I guess we could have a little menu that could have like a big particle scaler, you know? So you could just scale particles. I do think I want to reset the camera. Like reset the controls whenever you drop in something new though. That seems like a thing that would be good to do. I feel like my size thing is not quite right. It's not quite there. Okay. So maybe there's a smart way to do this now. I don't know. It used to suck. So there's this 3 file loader. So maybe that's the way to do it now. Yeah, I hate this. This is not the way I want to do it. I don't want it like wrapped in. I mean, maybe this is actually better than it used to be. What is it? Shaders. Multi-line template literals. So is that what we want to do now? Will that make my life easier? So where do you get the shader? Get element by ID text content. So instead we could do, you tell me we could do like let vertex shader equal, and then this kind of business. You serious? Can I actually? Who knows? I mean, it's not quite as good as having a real shader file, but maybe it's fine. So it seems like you can have a .vert and .frag and get syntax highlighting if you want. Okay, does this work? Seems to. It's so short that I don't think I care. Like both these are just teeny tiny. Oops. You know, if they were longer, more complicated shaders, I would probably want syntax highlighting and such, but I don't think I care that much here. I don't think I do. I might care. Sometimes it's hard to tell if I care. But right this second, I don't care. Okay. We do it. So we can load a thing. We can drop in our babies. Confucius looks cool. Confucius just does the business right. I still would like to get bigger here, though. I just gotta think about that a little bit, I guess. I got like a spooky ghost. A spooky ghost. You know what? That actually makes me think of something. Gives me an idea. You know that some of that stuff we built with the VFX graph last year for oh, you know, that thing. What's the thing? That spherical harmonics thing and that super formula, that thing. We could kind of redo that. Maybe just in a web browser and have it not be that big of a deal, because it seems like we can render a million particles without too much trouble. At least on this computer. Who knows on a device of some kind, you know? You never know what's going to happen when you try to run something on a device. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to run downstairs and get that computer, and we'll look at it maybe. Okay, bye. Hi, it's me again. So I think I'm on record as being in general a fan of Raspberry Pis. You know, just for like you need a little computer to do little computer stuff. They're pretty good. Raspberry Pi 4 is pretty powerful, pretty good. This is the worst packing I've ever seen. This was really how this was packed. That's amazing. I kind of can't believe how bad this packing is. It's not secured in any way. It's just in this box with a bunch of, I mean, it's got bubble wrap and it's in kind of a bubble sandwich. Wow, that is discouraging. That's a bad start to this. Like, even if they just like taped it down a little bit, I'd feel a little better. Huh. Also notice that the VGA port seems to be bent in a very disconcerting way as well. And what is this thing? And there's some weird thing on the back here. Okay, so right off the bat, not pleased here. Anyway, so Raspberry Pi I'm pretty into for various things. There are things that it's not ideal for, and so I've been wanting like a little x86 version of that, like some single board x86 computer or whatever to do x86 things. One of the big reasons for that is because Unity will build Linux binaries, but it won't build ARM Linux binaries. So anyway, I've just been wanting little solutions for that. And I got some Nooks for a project last year and they worked pretty well, but kind of in general, I've just been looking for other solutions. And there's certainly some single board computers out there. This VGA port is so bent. That makes me worry that the internals are bent in a horrifying way because that is so bent. But I guess we'll just hope it won't. That isn't true. So I've been on the lookout, and there's some interesting options, and there's some things coming out that seem kind of cool, but they all end up being kind of expensive. So there are x86 single board computers. Some of them are very weak, based on super weak Intel processors. And then once they aren't weak, they start getting so expensive that you should be thinking about a Nook anyway. So anyway, after lots of thinking about that and kind of fretting and hemming and hawing, I was looking, some people posting about like, hey, if you just need an x86 machine as a server, they were specifically talking about for like home server kind of stuff. You should just look at these old business class, like corporate mini PCs. So this has a Skylake processor, a Skylake mobile processor. So it has like decent onboard graphics, like okay onboard graphics. And it's a much more powerful machine than a lot of those, the mobile, a lot of those x86 dudes, the x86 single board computers, because those are just like super underpowered Atom processors, for example, or Celerons or whatever. Like they're very weak machines. I'm gonna say this is not the best refurb job of all time. I got this thing pretty cheap, but I'm not pleased in a number of ways already with the packing and with some of the things of like whoever taped this rubber foot back on did not do a good job, and it just broke while I was trying to fix it. So that's great. Not good. Not a good job. Random company in Florida that refurbished this. I think you did a poor job, actually. Anyway, that's a bit separate from the computer situation, I guess. Yeah, this just kind of disintegrated. We may have to make our own little rubber feet or something because these are not in good shape. So yeah, the verdict was kind of like, yeah, if you just need a little PC, these 5-year-old machines are pretty dang cheap because there's a million of them because they're all, corporate whatever. The corporate deploys that then get replaced or companies go out of business or whatever. So there's just a ton of them. And so I picked one up and it just arrived. I had a pair of pliers. I don't know. I'm really actually kind of bothered by this VGA port. It makes it seem like it, I don't know, almost gives me the fear that it fell off a desk or something while plugged in. So it's funny. So this guy has 2 display ports, 1 VGA, 4 USB 3, Ethernet. It has no Wi-Fi, so they sent this little goofball wireless adapter, which I'm sure is fine. I think I have a smaller one, so I guess if I want a smaller one, but I'm gonna probably use it wired, so it doesn't matter that much. I think it came with Windows 10, and they probably put a fresh install of Windows 10 Pro on it, if I had to guess. Man, I'm just, like, super annoyed at the foot situation here. It seems like they tried to replace it or fix it and just did a really poor job. And now they're broken. So cool, I guess. I'm just gonna pull them off because I think I would rather these feet just not exist than be gross and sticky and hanging out in a weird way. Other than that, so there's the feet problem, which is a bit annoying, and it seems like they were just applied without someone caring very much. There is the fact that it wasn't packed in the box very well, which is definitely concerning, but it's got a SSD, so it's not like there's moving parts I have to worry about very much. Except the fan, I guess, or fans. And a VGA port makes me worry. I don't know. But otherwise, cosmetically, not bad. So it's got a little thumb screw to take off the case, which is kind of nice, actually. Just a single thumb screw. So maybe we can open it up and see if there's anything disastrous going on inside. This is a cute little guy. I think I just showed my Windows license on screen. But this is Windows 10 Pro for Reverb PCs. So it's some special license for Reverbs, I guess. We're going to put Linux on this anyway, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess I would prefer you didn't steal it, but, you know. I don't actually know how to... Once I take out this thumb screw, how do you think I open it? A little friend. It's got kind of a nice build. It's all metal. Feels pretty good. It seems like this whole thing should just slide back or something. Oh, it slides forward. Okay. So this guy slides forward. The faceplate comes off. Look at that cute little guy. So King Fast is the drive. So I'm going to guess that's not what it shipped with. But maybe it is. The processor's got this like fancy little heatsink that blows out the back. Stuff seems okay. It does seem like that VGA port. Maybe I can just bend it back into place with pliers. Like, it's definitely very bent. The little screw, the screw is bent on the side also. I'm not going to use VGA, but, you know, you just worry, like, that's probably part of the main board. And so if a lot of strain was put on that, like it fell off a desk or something, you could certainly imagine that causing some damage. Weirdly, the memory is under the fan there. It looks at. I got it for 16 gig, I think. Okay. So it looks okay in here. The fan's a little bit dusty. The hard drive is a little weird. I thought it came with the original, but maybe some knockoff hard drive is better than a 5-year-old one. I don't know. To go this back together easily. So yeah, that's a reasonably nice little machine. I paid a little extra to get the 16 gig just because it seemed, for whatever reason, laptop memory prices seem higher than they should be right now, but maybe I'm just misremembering how much laptop memory costs. Okay, so what do we want to do with this? I guess the first question is, how will I hook this up? So it looks like somebody melted this a little bit with a soldering gun. This does seem to be a real HP product though, so it does seem to be the real power brick. For whatever that's worth. How can I plug this in? I only have 2 monitors. I do kind of want to... Let's get the capture setup going. I haven't done that in a while. Okay. I need a few minutes to grab some cables and stuff. I'll be right back. Okay, I found a DisplayPort to HDMI cable. Very exciting. And I found my Elgato HDMI capture device. I don't really know what our situation is on this machine. Definitely used on this computer before. So one would assume that it is set up, but who knows? So the worst part about this computer right now, just looking at it, is like, oh, what a tiny little computer. Decent power, seems great. And then you look at that power brick and you're like, oh, right. Like this, it will consume a meaningful amount of power. Well, that is for sure. Which is not great. That's definitely an advantage that the tiny baby, all the little bitty ones, the atom-based ones and whatever, that is an advantage that they have, is their much lower power. But Intel is, Intel's bad at that. Intel doesn't know how to make processors that are powerful and don't use a lot of power. They're barely good at making powerful at this point. Apple, however, the Apple M1, that's a processor. But I thought it'd be nice to buy this machine for like $200 instead of a new Mac Mini for many times the price. But maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. So this, plug this in here. I mean, if I got a Mac Mini, it would be a waste for what I want to do with this. So in that respect, okay, the input power. Okay, so we got to do all this stuff now, right? We got to do, we don't actually want any output. We just want input. We just want plug in this DisplayPort cable. This is a nightmare of cables on my desk. But let's go with it, and let's turn this machine on. Now, we used to have a game capture, Elgato capture. I don't have any idea what our situation is going to be on this. Like, it kind of seems like it's powering on. Elgato Game Capture HD. You'd think would be the input device. Elgato Game Capture HD. I have no idea what the last thing we were capturing was. Probably Animal Crossing, I guess. No signal. Needs to be connected to a USB 3 port. Is that not a USB 3 port? Sure it isn't. Let's connect it to a USB 3 port instead. Maybe that was USB 3? I don't know. I don't want to update game capture. Is that not a USB 3 port? Requires USB 3. Okay. Like running out for a second. Perhaps you? Initializing. Okay, we have what appears to be Windows. But I can't see it over here for some reason. It's weird that... So is this right? Reset transform? Fit? That doesn't seem right, does it? Am I supposed to be using this? Game Capture HDS video number 1 or Elgato Game Capture HD. Well, now they're both blank. So wait, let's try that video number 1 again. Video number 1. One of these seemed like it worked for a second. Maybe one of them actually has to have the software running. I did just close it. Seemingly no light on the front of this computer. There's definitely some fan noise, even though it's not doing anything. What did I do? Input device is not an iPad. It's a PC. You sure don't seem like you think you're convert standard definition. So I guess it could be coming out, like maybe it did detect it. Might not have detected the setup right. So I kind of want to restart it and see. I don't have another USB mouse handy, so I guess I'll just steal this one. Getting ready to be confused by this, for sure. Okay. Yes, now I have multiple mice, and this is going to drive me up the wall.
Make your computer easier to use.
I don't want that one. I assume there's a restart, but it's like behind my head, but now I can't. I switched my mouse, so I don't know if the video is super slow or just the input slow. It's really bad that my head is. I don't know why there's that much video latency. Okay, we got to do a couple things. Obviously, we have issues here. Don't do that. Let's do this. No, there is no restart button. Why would that be true? I mean, I don't actually know that I care about booting it up in Windows. It's weird that I can't just turn it off. I want it to hopefully come back up and be in the right video mode, you know? Holding the power button. Okay, that weirdly took a long time. I think our video signal is not right. I was hoping it would detect it properly by restarting. Okay, it still thinks it's an iPad. PC. Profile 1080. Done. Does that make anything better? No. Because it says there's no capture devices found. What if I do this? Interesting. Okay, so this is the actual real device, it would seem. Let me try to deactivate it and then open the real game capture, dude. Game capture HD, because the latency is crazy. There's just no reason for it to be as bad as it is. I mean, I am many versions behind, I guess. I'm not that many versions behind. This the device is already in use, though. Even though I explicitly... let's just unplug it. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, why would it be that slow? Okay, we're getting 1080p 60 now, so that's good. PC, all that stuff seems better. Okay, that seems more reasonable. So now can we activate you here, and will you be proper? Oops, OBS says